this.
She'll
She'll get
Can
on
they
there.
do it live? Should I send that? Do I need to send that link?
I did
You
it.
did it, okay.
She did it because she's just that good.
Let me know if you get that email because our principal said there were some problems with group emails. Some emails she was sending out.
Or
Was,
sharing certain things.
yeah, something's weird.
Yeah, it's not going great. It's
Yeah.
not coming back that it failed. And we have all problems with that.
Is anybody going to facilitate this or is that just up to us?
The hostess.
There you go.
All right, what do y'all want to talk about?
Is anything on?
It was on the
Yeah,
agenda.
there were like two things. We've already done one thing, yes.
All right, that was mine. Y'all can do it. Y'all can have the next one.
That was, what else was on the agenda?
Hour of code, STEM ideas, makerspace. Says anybody doing this?
I am not doing our code. I've done it at a professional learning before, but I just didn't have time to do it.
Our computer teacher's doing it, lab teacher.
Oh,
So
yeah.
our lab
Yeah.
teacher does it.
Yeah.
Definitely did it.
Yes. The little summer camp that we went to.
No. Or it was that, what's her name?
Oh, you went to
Flurry
the
Technology.
Flurry. Okay, yeah, I didn't go to that. I went to.
That's where I did it last January.
I will say though, from that Scholastic catalog, when my book fair money, I did get a couple books on our code that my kids are really enjoying. One's on Minecraft, and the other one on Lego. I don't understand the books, but the kids are liking them.
Hey.
And those were in that Scholastic catalog.
Yeah, well, there's
Because my lab teacher does it, so I'm not on it.
Yeah, he's done it in our computer lab too. Whatever coding he's done in there.
They've done it on apps, on the iPads before.
Is
This
that-
one of the centers.
Is that coding like a progressive type thing, or is it you just jump in and can do whatever? You know,
All
like
of it's real basic and it's drag and drop. It's not real.
And it starts basic and it seems like it gradually gets more difficult because there were like 15 lessons embedded in it. And then you start very, very simple and it won't let you go on to the next lesson until you pass the first one.
oh, I got you.
Unless they changed it up some.
Okay. Oh, okay. For some people who may be new, well, we introduce ourselves. So they're Tracy, Drake,
I'm
and I'm new across.
I'm
Ann Grainer at Root Hill Elementary.
And she's new.
Yes, I'm new.
I'm Jessica Pope and I'm at Atkinson.
I'm Mary Dean. I'm Jefferson. Okay.
I'm Carla Gaddy. I'm at Northside Elementary.
Sherry Copeland Brooks.
Tina Allen, Eastside.
I'm Carla Dickhoff, I'm at Arbor Springs.
Dinah Sanders, I'm at Canongate.
Renee Rich, and I'm new. I'm at Thomas Crossroads.
Are you liking it?
Yeah, I do. I like it a lot.
Okay, how about makerspaces? Anybody doing that?
I'm in the process of developing a makerspace. Y'all know it doesn't happen overnight. But I actually met with them, and I'm going to tell you all this today. Katie Lowry, who is director of STEM.
The Coweta
over-
STEM
yes,
Institute.
Yes, she came out yesterday afternoon just because you go to all these conferences and you see all this stuff and you get like 10 minutes to use it or 20 minutes. And you get real excited about it. You go back and you get some money and you order. But then you think, well, how am I going to use it with the kids? How am I gonna do this? Well, she came out yesterday and we went over and I ordered some makey kits and some little bits kits, which are huge right now in makerspace. And it seems like every time I go to a conference, there's something about it. She actually was going to write a grant for little bits, but wasn't familiar enough with once we get them, what are we going to do? So she took two of my kids. I said, please take them. And she's going to play with them over the break and come up with some lessons because they'll come out to your school when they don't have field trips planned. And she has certain free days where you wouldn't have to pay her. And she said, if you want to schedule several classes and come out, I'll come out and help you facilitate the lessons. And just so I get more comfortable with the materials. And what I'm aiming for is once I expose them to it, then that's when I'll kind of get into the makerspace where they kind of have free will to come and go to the makerspace wherever it is we have it set up and do things on their own. So that it's just not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
How do you plan to manage it? I mean, are they gonna come in like it's part of their class time? or-
I may have part of it set up kind of like centers I thought about in like a kindergarten or first grade class where we kind of rotate. I know Andy Clemens in Athens, when I went to see him last year, he has his set up. It's just 2 days a week. It's not an everyday thing. And he has sign up sheets. And he primarily does it with third, fourth, and fifth. And he may do younger kids now too. I think he's tried to like trickle down and hit the younger kids too. But he just did a sign up sheet every week and put it on the outside of his media center doors. And they would just go and sign up. And it was primarily during the recess time. One thing he has that we don't is that all that extra help from University of Georgia.
Yeah.
But I think that I thought about reaching out to like the student ambassadors at Noonan High School and seeing if I could get maybe some of them to come in, use parents, different things like that. Like I said, I'm not there yet, but I've put a lot of thought there.
You probably would have a good parental base
Yeah.
if you wanted.
Yeah. And something that I'm doing now with my 3D printing and with Tinkercad for 3D printing is I'm using my 5th grade kids to help me with the younger kids, just because they know more about it than I do. They get on there and play with it more. So, so I'll probably, the ones that like master things, use them a lot too to help me. So that I'm nowhere near like the voluntary thing where they come in on their own and do it. So it's kind of a working
Joe
progress.
can step in.
Makerspace.
Makerspace.
You're doing some makerspace stuff.
Now that you're here, you can
Now
speak up.
that I'm here, I did get a grant. I got the Bright Ideas grant, so I'm in the process of ordering stuff. I did order a little bit over the summer, but my schedule has changed a lot this year, and so the way that I used to do things is not the way I can do things anymore. My principal wanted me to follow the REACH schedule, so whatever day she has that grade, I have all that grade level classes all day long, which is nice because I don't have to reset up for 4 different grade levels in one
You
day.
just have to reach kids. at
And I
some
have
point during
reached
that day.
kids as a class, yes, with them. So it also helps because I can collaboratively plan with that grade level now because I have the same painting time as them. But what I used to do is I would have a lesson week and then I'd have a week without kids for 2nd through 5th, so I could set up centers and do makerspace type stuff, which was my plan when I wrote the grant. Not
I thought
knowing,
about a setup kind of like that too.
Yeah.
8 weeks.
and that's the way I've done it in the past, and it's worked out great for 2nd through 5th. And then I always see pre-KK and 1 every week.
Mhm.
But now I'm gonna have to rethink things now that my schedule was hijacked. But like I said, I do like it better because I can now collaboratively plan. So in some ways, it's a good fit. But I just have to kind of think creatively about how I'm gonna do it now. But now that we have Chromebooks, my lessons have totally changed with 3 through 5, and has been so great. And even with 2nd grade, because we did have some carts already, and so 2nd graders could bring Chromebooks too. And so I don't know. I don't think that was very helpful.
Well, but I mean, the whole idea of makerspace is just, it's, how does it really fit into a library setting? And is that the better place for it to be, or is there somewhere else in the school that it would fit in? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think it depends on the school.
Mhm.
The space you have and the personnel you have and who's willing to do it.
And one thing that I've been trying to do is to create kind of a production area as with our library. And our library is very small. So this whole idea of discover, create, and communicate is one that I've been setting up centers for. And so that as we get all the parts for our 3D printer, we'll be able to incorporate that. But one center I have is actually an outreach for Soul Hope, where we're cutting out blue jean material, and Jefferson Parkway helped with this a little bit last year. And then another center is it's part of a puppet theater show, so it's part of my drama area. Another center, we had all these big styrofoam pieces that came with the 60-inch TV panel that was in a storage room. And so we're making snow robots out of it. And so there's these different areas that the students are able to participate in. And right now I'm working with third through fifth, because I'm trying to just see, and it's kind of like what you're saying, you kind of start a little bit and you see, okay, how are we working with this? Do we rotate or stay at the same place, for the whole time? Ruth Hill had a waiver for Monday, Friday specials. And when I came, it was right at the beginning of school. And so I see the second through fifth grade every week, which I've actually enjoyed that, because I'm able to, I see them every 2 weeks, each class every 2 weeks. But I'm able to really make sure I'm seeing all the kids there. So at first I was like, oh no, I'm not supposed to be scheduled for specials. But then it was like, well, let me see how this is going to work, because it wasn't an option because of the waiver. But the centers has really helped with that. And so that the kids are still checking out their books, et cetera. But I can see as I am able to get more with the technology and more with makerspace type things. But my whole thing is, and the reason why I have Discover, Create, Communicate, is that I want the end product to be something meaningful, to have that experience of exploration and creativity. But I really think if there's going to be an audience for that end product, that's great when that can work. So in terms of how does this fit in the library? Yes, it's the space, it's what you think about it. But I think there's with our library, we don't just have books, but the books are part of a process. And so you have times where you are just reading, and then you have times where you are using the information, or you're creating something from what you've read. And so that's kind of my philosophy of kind of a production plus exploration experience.
So you're sort of rotation is what you're
Sort
saying.
of, just Monday and Fridays until 12:15.
How many people are part of rotation? Thankfully not.
I do all the first grades. That's the only one I do.
Well, but I mean, there are a couple of other schools that are part of the specials rotation.
I do in third and fifth every other week, and the weeks that I'm on or off, the counselor does.
I mean, I think Willis Road is
And then everyone else, I just have to sign up.
Willis Road does it where they see
like every,
counselor, media, technology.
right. So
Three
they
week
rotate like 3
rotation.
weeks or
Yeah.
something.
Mhm, mhm. So that still gives her a lot of time to do other things. It's not packed.
Yeah. No, Amanda has been back and forth and they wanted her to, and I don't know I don't think she ever at Western.
I'm not sure what she does. I know that she wanted to, but I don't know if she's got it up and running or not.
Yeah, because when you're a focus school, there's just, I know with Western, we've had a lot of people in our building.
We have to.
That's true.
We have to. We're in the second year.
Yeah.
Are y'all? I was gonna ask you.
We're in the second year of it. Okay. Hopefully we're on the way out.
Okay.
Who knows? Got a lot of people in the building, but more last year than this year.
Okay. Anything else on Makerspace? The next one was book awards.
I put that on there.
Okay.
Just because thinking about January's coming up, February when book awards are. So. Anybody have any ideas?
I don't know anything with the awards anymore. I mean, other than I have the posters up for the Caldecott,
About like the picture book award.
but I don't do anything with the Georgia Children's Book Awards. Haven't done anything with them for several years.
I do Georgia book awards just because it's too hard to get them all before.
Well, but even when we did the books,
Some of them
it
aren't.
seems like each year they got to be a little bit more,
Some of them were not.
like you
good
could
read
tell
alouds.
they were picked
Yeah.
because they
They
were
just get too much.
multicultural. They weren't necessarily always picked because they were
They were
great.
great.
They were-
Right.
And then the kids always liked the funniest book in there anyway,
Yeah.
so it didn't really matter.
I gave up on it a couple of years ago because the
Yes.
books really changed from how long I've been doing this.
Mhm.
They're
Carla,
not
do you still
good.
do those?
What?
The picture book?
I did it last year. didn't
I
this
just
year.
read something about, I follow a Kentucky listserv, and that's actually where I got the sound stuff ideas from. But they have a Kentucky bluegrass. I guess it's similar to what we do
Mhm.
and all, but haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, the Georgia Book Awards is just not what it used to be.
I read a couple of reviews on, I try to read the reviews and I just feel like sometimes it's dark and deep and heavy and.
Well, it's like they were chosen for certain
For a
reasons.
reason,
They
yes.
weren't
Right.
necessarily chosen because they were great literature.
No,
Mhm.
They weren't
there's an
necessarily
agenda.
Great literature.
Yeah.
For little kids.
Yeah.
Not something that learns to understand. It's gonna be K through 5 or 6 or whatever.
I'll do the Guys Award. We do a mock Guys Award. That's just easier, narrows it down a little bit. The kids seem to like that better. And then whoever wins for our school, I put a special sticker on it. And make
How
them
many
feel
are
about it.
usually in that category? Jen?
Like 3 to 5.
Oh, okay. so
Yeah,
not
it's
many.
not usually big. I mean, it varies, but usually around 3 to 5. So it's not like you don't feel so overwhelmed like you have to buy so many books.
Now, I had a third grade teacher who did what she called March Madness. She picked 16 books and then had the kids, she paired them up and the kids would vote. And it's just like March Madness with NCAA. And they enjoyed that. She was amazed by the books they picked, what they liked. They liked simple books like Stick and Stone, you know.
And Shanna did something similar for voting
Mhm.
for the election.
Mhm.
Now, something I do January through March, which the kids like, I do Read or Dare, which of course I tied into our AR, but they either read a book that I dare them to, and if they don't accept my book, then they have to read 2 books to replace that. So what I do is I pull all those great books everybody has, but the kids don't gravitate towards those books because the cover's not interesting to them or something. And so I just choose books that I want them to read and put them out on my Read or Dare shelf, and they just gobble those up like everything.
How do you track what they read?
Well, we do a little AR sheet, and so
Oh,
one of the
okay.
things on their AR sheet is Read or Dare.
And they would
And
check it
so-
and just,
Yeah,
when
and
they
then,
take the test.
you know, for the little ones, I'll give them a sticker or something if they've read it, and then, I mean, just, it's very simple, but they think, you know, it's something spectacular. Well, that book has been in the library for 5 years, but no one gravitates towards that book, you know, so they like that a lot. They've already been asking me if we're gonna do that. That's extremely easy, and it just gets them into some better books. And I don't put the crap on there like Captain Underpants and all that. I try to
That they
pick
read.
better.
Well, you're not picking the things that they're gonna pick anyway. You're picking
Yeah.
the things they're not gonna
Yeah.
pick.
Do you have them sign up for that? Or how do they want to do that?
Well, we just talk about it on the news, and they just know I do it. And
Okay.
I have 2 big bookshelves, and so I fill those 2 big display cases with Read or Dare books.
Okay.
Like one set for 1st and 2nd grade, one for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And I just keep replenishing those books.
Okay.
So, like I say, it's all, we're tricking them. They don't know that those books are already in the library.
One
But
thing.
they like it a lot.
When I was at Carrollton High School for February, I did a Lonely Hearts Club section. And so it was like, of course, and I geared that for high school, but elementary, we do it with different words, but it was like, these books have been so alone and they
Never get
really
checked
need
out.
someone to snuggle up to. And, you know, so that, again, those books that haven't been checked out that you know are good. And it's like, won't you please take me home? And they, you know, little quotes next to them.
That's cute.
I have a book goal poster that when they walk in, so every time I read a book, I stick it up there. And the kids like to check it out, see what I'm reading. And this year, a 5th grader was like, "You don't ever read Harry Potter," so he challenged me to read some Harry Potter books because I had never read Harry Potter. I'm on book 3. And he kekeeps up with it too. because
Once you start those, if they hook you, you will read them all.
I don't know that I'm necessarily hooked. I've seen all the movies and the books
See,
are
I read
still
them before.
okay,
I read
but-
them before watching the movies.
You know, I mean, it's not like one of those books that like, oh, I got to get the next book kind of thing for me. It's just not my genre. But
Well, it's not
I
my
don't
genre
mind them.
either, but I read them
So-
when I first started in the library. That's when I picked them up and read them, and I read them all. I mean, At the time, it was just the first 5,
Yeah,
but I've not seen the movies, so I didn't watch the
yeah.
movies.
Well, I kind of like that I've seen the movies first. Normally I don't like to watch the movies first, but because I like to see what the movie has left out. 'Cause
Now you
since
know
they're
how to
kind of
pronounce all
fresh.
the names.
Yes, that too.
Because
So,
Hermione was not Hermione when we first
Yeah.
read it. Hermione.
so that's been kind of fun because the kids will, I mean, they do.
I do want to see what you're.
And I put it on Goodreads too. And actually this morning, some kid I don't even know commented, "Why do you read all these kids' books? You're an adult." So I kindly responded back, "I'm an elementary school librarian and I need to know about these kids' books. And it's okay for adults to read kids' books. And if you'd like to have a recommendation for a kid's book, just let me know and I'll be happy to recommend one."
Yeah, they don't know. Sometimes
They don't get it, yeah. I'm like, I'm also a mom. Get out.
Yeah, I do usually like the, I don't know, month of March, month of April. I usually read Coweta Award winners. I talk about the Coweta Awards with the kindergarten and first grade, so that they get an idea
Yeah,
of
know what
award
those are.
winners. Mhm.
Well, on those book awards, are there any, like, when you do book orders, are there any particular book awards you look for when you order books, or
Caldecott.
the Caldecott?
Caldecott for sure, and Newberry for sure. but-
I look at the Newberries, but sometimes they're not
The guys,
elementary.
the guys award.
I don't always order the
Because
Newberries.
those are the, the picture books that are good for beginning readers.
Okay. The next on the
It's Ann. It's all Ann.
Oh,
Ann is next.
no,
You're
it's,
up.
it's a conversation, actually.
do we undo?
Do we? Do we?
we?
What do we do? Has anyone thought about genrefying, or anyone done a little bit of genrefying or anything?
I've read about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this actually came about when I was at Charlton High School, and it was just really observing, and it's observing the students. And so they would come in, ask for the romance books, etc. Then I set up an area where I had some mystery, etc. And they gravitated towards that area. And so it's like whenever you pull out a section of books or a type of books, they just gravitate towards that. And so finally I was like, you know what? I'm thinking that I want to just start experimenting with this. And so that was several years ago. And so I ended up being able to genrefy fiction there. And then we started to get into the nonfiction, and that came about because the teachers were asking their kids to do biographies, and the students would come in and they were like, well, where are the athletes and where are, et cetera. And so I just said, well, let's group them together. Let's let's classify and put all the athletes together, et cetera, with the biographies. So when I arrived at Ruth Hill, and there were a ton of books still on carts, and there were books just all over, and the teachers weren't able to find the books of what they needed. And so I was like, you know what? I started to put everything in order, alphabetically. But immediately my brain kicked in of, oh my gosh, this is sports fiction. And oh, here's fantasy. And, and so I started to do that. And I'm like, no, focus. Just get the books in alphabetical order on the show. And, but I knew in the back of my head, I said, I'm going to watch and see. And same thing at Ruth Hill. Kids come in, where are the scary books? Help me find this. I don't know what to, what do you like? I like funny books. Where are your funny books? And so I said, okay, it's kind of bubbling up again. And so during our teacher work day, I actually was able to have some people in the library who could help out. And I said, let's start a project. And so we started just taking the A's and separating them according to the categories that I came up with. I looked at Andy Clemens. He has a video, of his library. It's like a library tour, and it just where he's talking about how he's genrefied. Looked at different areas, different possibilities, but also looked at the collection. And doing this has helped me really get to know the collection. And the other thing it has done, and I was kind of guessing this, that we didn't have really very many sports fiction, and I didn't think we had that many superheroes. But when you put them all together, it's kind of sad because sports are huge at our school. And, we've got like, I don't know, one shelf. We have a ton of mystery. We have a ton of humor. And so it's a way to really analyze the collection. The other thing that I've seen is that as soon as I started this and got it going, the students, they were like, where do these new books come from? I didn't know we had this, because they would typically just go to Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And now they've got, all the humor together. And I even put in, some of the classics in there, they're right up next to, some of the ones that they normally check out. So I'm seeing an increase in the diversity of what's being checked out. And I'm seeing checkout go a lot faster, in that the kids will come in, they're like, okay.
They don't have to ask you as many questions.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's really getting to be they're more independent. I used to have a couple kids that were just like, Ms. Grainer, help me. I don't know what I want. And now they just come in and they're here and there. The other thing that I decided to do, because I looked at the ease and I'm like, what's so easy about some of these, or these are for everybody? But then also I have second graders that would not even go near the yellow letters with ease. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get rid of ease, and I'm going to have picture books, because we use those a lot in the classroom, and the kids still like the picture books. But a lot of those kind of like beginning chapter books, and some of those, it's like, I'm just going to put them in fiction, in the regular fiction. So now we have fiction with the different genres, and then we have picture books. And what I'm noticing is, because our average reading level is 3rd grade. And so what I'm noticing is kids, because those books are now in with the big books, they're checking them out, and it's no big deal. They're not scared to go, they don't want to be embarrassed about going over to the ebooks. And at first I was like, well, should I pull the series out and have like favorite series? And then what I noticed, whenever I would pull a section out, the students would not look at the others. So I have the series in with the genre.
Well, I've read about that, and that's what
Yeah.
a lot of people have said, that,
Yeah.
that it tends to be better if you're going to just to put the
right
series with the
there.
genre, and that gets more traffic to
Right.
that whole genre anyway.
It does. Yeah,
And
and
you have chapter books and picture books mixed in together.
but the picture books are separate. Picture books are they're kind of where the ease. I mean, so if I
The
pull
harder
the
ebooks are in the fiction.
but the ebooks.
Well,
are,
she's
yeah.
talking about like even easy chapter books, like your young Kim Jansen,
Yeah,
your,
Kim
you know,
Jansen
your
is in-
Nate the
is in
Greats,
fiction.
things
Yeah.
that might be in everybody
Anything that
books.
has a chapter in it. it's
Right,
fiction.
right.
It's one
And so-
point, it's in my fiction section.
Mhm.
If it's a half a point, it's in.
Right.
How do
See,
you find this stuff? How do the
I was gonna
teachers
say,
find the
catalog.
Yeah, that's a good.
stuff?
That's a good
Because
question.
that's what I'm.
So-
It's hard for I do this too. It's hard for my volunteers to shelve, because I know where everything is.
They
The
don't.
kids do, but my volunteers are like, where does this
Right.
book go? It
So
doesn't-
that's what
that's
we
the only downside.
Yeah, no, that's
Well,
what,
and,
that's
you
what
know,
we're.
I mean, Andy's has stickers that they
Right.
put on
There are
them,
different ways
you
to
know.
do it.
There's lots of different ways. I mean, I've just done a lot of reading
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you
Well, that's
know,
what we're in the process of doing. And
Now,
that-
I'm not at all interested in genreifying nonfiction, because I think nonfiction's already there. It just
Yeah.
needs better signage.
I did new signage and that helped.
You know, I really think it needs better signage.
Right.
And yes, you can look through your nonfiction and you can decide, okay, well, it's got train books over here, train books over there. Let's just put all the train books together. I mean, you can do things with it to make it work better for
Right.
you.
Yeah.
My biggest concern in all of it is we have a lot of transient kids in our county that move from school to school. It's their own ability to find things when they go from place to place and having to learn a new system every time they go somewhere else. But
You know,
I mean, it's
Because
one
I
of those
thought
things.
about
I mean,
that.
I'm like,
yeah. When I was at Carrollton, I was like, wait a minute. These kids can go into one grocery store, and after the second time, they know where that favorite cereal is, you know, and it takes time. And what it does is that it equips them to not get stuck in things are always going to be this way, because that's not how life is, and that's not how stores are. To answer your question, Renee, about how the teachers, how the volunteers. So we're in the process of making sure our catalog reflects it. We're also able to, because my spine labels were wacky, we're redoing the spine labels. And so it says F fantasy, and then it's the first 3 letters of the author's last name. And then I'm curious when we start talking about Lexile, because right now we have the Lexile on there too.
Now, and what I've read when it comes to how to change it and changing your spine labels and all of that stuff and within Destiny, you have to watch how you do it so that it will, so that if you're doing a tidal wave analysis, that it'll still pick them all up, you know, so.
Yeah, because you can get in and you can do sublocation. There's there's several different ways of getting into Destiny to make sure that it's all coming together. I just have to praise Jan Dayton. Any of you who know Jan Dayton, she is the media specialist at Winston Dowdell, and she was formerly at Jefferson Parkway Elementary, so she's elementary at heart. She has a little extra time over there at Winston Dowdell, and she was like, "Gosh, I'm kind of bored," and I'm like. I've been there at Ruth Hill for like 3 weeks, and I said, Jan, I need you. So she's been helping tremendously, being able to help out. She came over, helped me with inventory. She has helped me go into Destiny, clean up all the stuff in there. And so having someone, whether it's parents, whomever it might be, so that you're not doing it alone, because I can't imagine trying to do
Well,
this.
I mean, from what, when reading Andy's, because they just genrefied, he just did that this past summer. I mean,
Right.
it was a full 15 days of work. I mean, it wasn't a 1-day affair. It was all day, pretty much 15 days with him and the volunteers that he had to get it done.
And it depends the size of your collection too, because ours is kind of small right now. But and the other thing is that it has to be something that you really want to do and feel that it's something that is going to benefit everyone, because there's no point doing it just to do it, if you know what I mean, because it is a lot of work. But I'm excited about it. The kids are excited. The teachers are excited. So for my situation, it's working. And ideally, I should have waited probably till summer or sometime when I didn't have people coming in, but I was just ready to jump in. I had a problem to solve, and I wanted to get in there and get books, organized in a way that made sense for us.
And I think that's the key, is make sense for your school.
Yes.
Because if I ever leave my school, I'm probably going to have to spend the whole summer cleaning up my library, because I have mine set up for me and my kids.
Right.
And my kids can get around my library really well.
Yeah.
Probably if you all came in, you probably wouldn't like it, but it works for us
Right.
really well. So I think you have to do what works for you and your kids.
And it's interesting, I was visiting with Amanda White, who's Donald's wife, over at Peachtree City Elementary. And they are in the process of a county-wide looking at genrefying, and they're emailing back and forth about, okay, how are we going to do this? And where are we going to put the Clifford books? And, so it's little questions, but it's also big questions. So they're looking at trying to come up with a model for the whole county, which is one way, that their county has decided to do that. But yeah, to figure out what really works for you, and know that if
Well, I mean, it's the hard part. The hard part is, you start talking about a bookstore format or whatever. I walk in a bookstore and half the time can't find anything. Yeah, so,
but this is not bookstore format.
right.
Because
So
you've got-
you kind of have to shelve that thought and
Right.
think, okay, but if I'm
It's a hybrid.
right, it's a hybrid. It's
It's a
not
hybrid.
necessarily one or the other.
Right. And you make it so that it's very easy to see what it is. And so that the online component is easy too. And so volunteers can look at the spine. So whether it's a label or a sticker on there, or a special color coded label, for that genre.
Which many schools have left their spine labels alone
Mm-hmm.
and have simply added a genre sticker on it.
Or like a yellow overlay or something.
Right. Yeah. Some have
Just
done
lovely.
colors, but
Yeah.
the colors, that's just throwback to the AR colors.
And did you come across books where you didn't know really right where to put them?
Yes. Yeah.
So what did you do?
And
with
so what you
those?
do, first of all, you say, is this a book we want to keep? Because it's a great time to read, But then I look at it and I say, how would a student, what would a student see this as? And then the other thing I would do, I actually got into Andy Clemens' his catalog, and I even did a couple of Google searches for this book with the genre. And then if you go into Destiny, you'll see a couple of genres listed, and so it's kind of informing that. is there a book I probably put in a section that I'll later come across and I'll go,
Yeah, why'd I put
why did
that
I put
there?
that in
Yeah.
fantasy?
But people
gonna
do that. I mean,
It's
if
gonna
you've read
happen.
anybody's genre fine stuff, Shannon
Yeah.
Miller's, I mean, if you read any of it, I mean, they'll move them. I mean,
it's
it's,
basically
you know,
suggested
come up with
The
the
library has to be
categories,
split
Yes.
like
and you
that.
still
Yeah,
get
I
the
mean-
author's last name.
I
It's
move
not
things
every
out of our
person
favorite
in that
section all the
Yeah,
time.
it's
well,
just like
I took all the
nonfiction,
Star
the
Wars
author's
books and
last
put them
name.
all together because
So
they
it's
all
still
have
in
like
order,
different
but it's
still
authors
in
in
order.
their stuff.
Yes.
And
I
they
have
don't- 'cause they
walls
wanted
And
to
I
find
did
them.
what
have
Amanda
gold
said, and I
shells.
changed
Yeah.
all mine
You,
to
were you
have,
there when I did them?
I
It was a long
missed
time
you.
ago,
Yeah.
before I knew them.
Yeah.
and I did that
It's just
with
the
all
ones that
my
check
animal
out the
books.
most.
You guys
They're
running
out of
all $5.99.
So the ones that check
The
out the
mammal
most
books,
are
Oh, I
on
didn't
that
do
shelf,
that.
Right.
and it's so
Small
easy
cat,
to shelf.
show
Well,
and
exactly.
tell.
But I don't
And
put
it
them in
makes
order,
it so
but
much
there's the other
easier
like
to shelf.
Jimmy Jones or
Gotcha.
whatever.
See, I don't have a
Well,
problem showing those.
and then
It's
I've
not-
done
it's not-
nonfiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it was getting hard with
Do you
like
still use the
3 and 4 decimal places.
Yeah, and
Well, I
I
have
haven't done the
three.
nonfiction
Seven,
yet
like
here,
seven,
but
seven,
what I,
is
what I
ones,
have
but
done is I've got
just-
labels now for nonfiction, so that,
Cause you saw where I've done mine
Yeah.
are fiction just
Yeah.
by categories.
right, yeah, and so that's what I have, I've got, fish, amphibians, reptiles, because that's what correlates, and so they just are able to, instead of,
I mean, yeah, 'cause
And
I've
they
got,
know-
I mean,
they
I've had
just know
signs
where
up in
they're
nonfiction forever, but they don't look at signs. I don't know why.
I've got these.
Yeah,
Pulled it
oh,
up on my
Good.
phone.
Maybe I just need different signs.
I've got, I've invested lots of money in those Stemco book stops.
See, those book stops don't work for me. They're not deep enough.
I
I
can't
love
see.
I mean, I
It's like
have
a
those in, I have those in my
Yeah, I
biography
have
section,
some of
but they're not
those
deep
too.
enough. Because my shelves on, my shelves are up against the wall, have like.
Oh, and
still
it
like
sticks
12-inch
out.
shelves.
Oh, okay.
Well,
So
these
I
don't
end
go
up
back
with-
that far,
I
but
end up
they're
with,
tight
like-
enough that they don't fall
See, I end
over,
up with
so-
this much behind them. And it's just, it causes all kinds of chaos and.
I
and
have no
whatnot.
problem. I really like them, and it's really helped cut down on a lot of the questions for the kids because it's labeled right there, especially in the nonfiction. And like with my planet books, and I was telling her about how in the wild animal section, I've changed it all to $5.99, and then the first 3 letters of the animal. And that makes it so much quicker and faster to find and to shelve. I mean, it takes me no time at all to shelve those books. That used to take me forever because the decimal places were probably crazy.
Like first 3 numbers and then like.
I only have
AL.
3. Mine don't really work.
No, like ALL
I don't
for
care.
alligator, $5.99,
Sure, sure.
and for wild cats, I just put them all under cat. And then on the book stop, I put wild in parentheses, so they know it's wild cat. And for planets, I did the same thing, 423 point, what was it, 1, I think? Yeah.
Yeah, all my planet
No,
books
four.
are just,
Four,
something like
four,
that.
four.
They're not
Yes,
in
that's
Dewey
a
order.
four.
And MAR.
yeah, because you're
or-
kind of
No,
genreifying
You still do
it.
the point and then you just do
way.
the first.
I do the first decimal point for that one because
Okay.
there's so many that are 423 within that. I think I have sure of that.
I don't use any decimals.
Yeah,
I
423.
Well, I don't think Jennifer used any decimals over there.
So,
I think.
like Earth has its own because it's a different number.
She's
than
got,
all the other
yeah, they,
planets.
we needed to all the labels need to be fixed. That's
Some
what I
of
was
them
doing.
are quicker and simpler.
Yeah.
Seems
So you
like
get
they
them
don't
on
have
shelf.
shelf.
But it didn't take
Yeah,
long for me.
Yeah, I think
It
she
didn't
did.
take
I don't know
any
what the
time at
labels
all
look
to
like.
because I just
Yeah.
grabbed them from the shelf and
Yeah.
changed them that way. So I knew.
I
as they
like
come
that
in.
because,
So if anyone is interested in exploring
So much
genreification or
And the kids
want to
can
come
find
see, and you get messy, you you move books and then you kind of move some more.
I'd like to see how you've done your records too.
Okay,
Well, that we can just look up. You can look that up.
Yeah.
That's true.
and they're
But
a
you
work
give
in
us tips on
progress
how
right
to-
now. Yeah.
You know, but from what I've read, a lot of the people that have done it, they've left, like I said, they've left the spine labels alone and really haven't changed a lot of that. They've done a lot more to, put the sticker on it or something.
Yeah, I
So
haven't
it's easy
changed
to
my spine
shelve.
levels. I don't have time.
And then they've gone into
Yeah.
Destiny and added sublocations,
Yeah.
I think is what most of them have used.
Some people in the location in Destiny, that's where they put fantasy.
Right.
So
That's why I had the
there's so many
sublocation.
different ways to do it.
Well,
And
I'll do mine by
title label on
season.
the
Like I pulled out all my ghost books and scary stories during October, November, and I have all my. I don't know. I kind of changed it up.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go in and change all my spine labels because I may only keep that up for 2 or 3 months and then I might switch around.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a section now for seasons and celebrations. And so all the Thanksgiving together, all
But-
winter.
You have much better motives than I do. My motive was I don't have
I may
time
not
to go
always
out
be
and
in the
help
same
every
place.
single child.
Exactly.
And
I'm
if
just
I
like, go
leave,
right over
you
there.
know,
I have all the ghost
6 or 8 years
books
down
right
the
there.
road, I don't want to leave it
Exactly.
like,
No, I mean, seriously,
I
yeah.
changed
It makes it a
so
lot
At very
quickly
high
that it
volume,
would
I
be a
can't
real-
help an individual child, so
It really,
I just did it
It
to
frees
save
you
my
up.
own mind.
yeah.
I will. When I leave, I will.
You'll just be there
I
forever, so it'll be
will.
okay.
I probably will be there forever.
It'll be okay.
Or till I die. I might die there.
Okay.
Spend more time at work than it.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
I would like to come see that
Begin
is
the
interesting.
conversation.
I would like to see that. I love seeing everybody else's
Yeah.
libraries and how they're set up.
I want to go on a tour. We need a county.
Well, this year we'll just do a tour of everybody.
We won't really do a tour because you can't go to the edges of the county. People won't come.
Oh, we will come see you.
Do the February.
No, people won't come.
She's
I know
out.
this from the previous experiences. We've had them out on the edges of the county.
Categories.
I'll come out there.
We'll just put everybody on a bus. And
Just like, yeah. I'm sure
we'll,
Leanne
instead of the
can
tour of homes, it's the
Tour
tour.
of libraries. I like it. Okay, the next one is Lexile.
And that was me.
To label or not to label. How
I
to help
do.
students find those elusive books. Which
Yeah,
is a
'cause,
hot
you know,
topic this year.
Lexile is like, the in hot thing to do with
Gonna cure it.
finding books. And I flat refuse to label because
Well, Karen said
we
no.
still have all
Yeah,
the.
she said
She
not
said
to
that.
when we went to the Renaissance training.
Karen said not to? Really?
Yeah,
Because I heard her say.
because that was my concern, because we're still going by ATOS. If we're using accelerated reader, and that's how all my books are labeled. And if I stick a Lexile label on there, that's just gonna confuse them.
Well, I
Okay,
use
I have the
ATOS and
Lexile
Lexile, and my
Yeah.
kids have gotten used to that. Yeah.
I have
Just- I
both
have
of them,
both.
it's both in Alex.
But are you putting it on the outside or are you putting it on the inside?
It's outside.
Mine's on
It's
the
with AR
outside.
label and it's Lexile.
I mean, Permabound and Bound to Stay Bound does that
They
for
do
me. I
that,
don't do
yeah,
it.
I've noticed that when I'm.
Yeah.
Well,
But I would never go back now and catch up on all the books that aren't Lexile.
Well, see that, I mean, that,
They're gonna give
that's,
us
yeah.
help.
So you
I
just
mean, no
know-
way, that's me, I'm looking at it going, no way.
Yeah,
There's
probably
no
about
way.
a third of my books are Lexile, and that's it. Going forward, I will, but I'm not gonna go back.
Give
and
me
really-
something else to do.
That's just because of Crystal, whenever that Common Core came out and all, she said, put Lexile on these books.
Because
I'm
we
like,
just do it.
okay. But I delayed opening the library at the beginning of the year when we did it, so.
Yeah, so yours are done, Jessica?
Yeah.
Mine, I have like from years past, like 3 layers of stickers
Yeah.
that I can't
Yeah.
stand. So my thumbs are like dying because I have been
Trying to pull them all off.
changing all the spine labels
Yes.
and correcting it because I have books that are all different. It just drives me
Yeah.
crazy. And that's my kind of OCD. But all the paperbacks, like some were just PB, some were PB, FIC, author's last name. I mean, so I have gotten through all the paperbacks. I have helpers doing my easy. I'm doing fiction. So I just take a shelf at a time and I scan them like I'm checking them in to make sure the spine label is what it's supposed to be. I fix it. I take off all the layers of stickers and I have a coding system with dots. So I've been doing Lexile, like I have 10 different colors. And so they can look at my chart that's a bulletin board. And then I also have them displayed them all along. And I made charts for all the teachers. And so the kids know if they're between 300 and 399, they get a yellow sticker book. But on the inside cover, actually on the back cover on the inside is the actual Lexile number. But we don't have AR. We don't do AR. So I'm taking off all the AR stickers and I'm just cleaning it up. So
God bless you.
Takes a long time.
it does. And I knew it would.
I'm relabeling mine too because I can't stand
I
it.
can't stand it. It's just a mess. And I want it to be the way I want it to be. And so I'm redoing it for my own
We're doing the spine.
sake. And, when I do
I've
inventory,
lived with it for 14 years.
I
just
know.
don't- I mean, I'm just.
but I don't know that
wanna start
inventory's been
something new
done.
And then still be living with what's been there for 14 years.
Yeah.
And the thoughts of genre labels too, I'm like, how do I deal with genre and right. I mean, you got to be able to see the title. I'm like,
That's right,
Design,
with
Lexile.
with our spine labels, it looks so pretty.
Sure
Because it
does.
just has, you know, the F fantasy.
Do you have a chart where they know what to look for? Like, how do they know where to go to find?
You mean the fantasy, and how to find like a particular book or how to
Yeah,
find
like the sports, you know?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you can walk
Signs
in
and
and you
stuff.
can see the sign that says
Mhm.
sports fiction.
Okay.
Yeah. And so right now it's a temporary sign that it's like a bubble. And it's a sports fiction and it's in a sports book. But you know how you have your big books that you have hanging from your ceiling?
Mhm.
I'm going to just create a smaller like this size.
Oh,
That'll be right there.
gotcha.
And it'll have, I've got so many old book covers.
Yeah.
And so finding a sports fiction book
Okay.
to
Yeah.
laminate and put it on there, but just so
That's
that it's
cute.
very visual. Some places just have the signs, which signs are fine.
Mhm.
But right now I've got it, you can easily find it. And my library's a little bit smaller than yours, so
Mhm.
can't get lost.
Yeah.
And your library's not very big.
No.
Not very big. I don't know. I'm struggling with that whole Lexile thing because, you know, there's a lot of sadness because, you know, AR was just go find that yellow dot or whatever, and Lexile's just not that way. And it's really hard with those that are the lowest level to find stuff because they're the ones that struggle with using the computer to look it up, that struggle with finding it on the shelf once they looked it up. And there's
I do keep BR over BR to 100s.
Mhm.
And
you
it's-
say you put them like in the white baskets or something.
Yeah, we have like a little BR, like I keep a basket of BR, I keep
Yeah.
a basket of 100s and lower. And then I keep a basket of 2 and some like low 300s, 2 and some low
So you don't
300s.
do AR either.
No, we have reading counts though, but yeah, that just works well for the little kids, first kindergarten and first grade,
But
to
see,
be able to quickly find something.
I mean, I see even if you do AR, I mean, at this point with Lexiles, I mean, it may not be an issue for your school simply because your reading levels are going to be high anyway. But for a school that's a focus school or whatever, I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, that there needs to be almost that you're looking at both because you can't look at just Lexile and know that that's going to be the right book for you
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Oh yeah.
because those Lexile
Not
numbers
perfect.
really.
Yeah, they're not.
Mhm.
They're
You
not
know,
always accurate.
So it's kind of good to have that ATOS level too if you're using AR because it helps you guide to know that that's probably good for a
Yeah.
second grader,
Yeah.
for somebody that's reading in that second grade range. Because they almost need both.
I have a section called Junior Lawcats because we're the Lawcats, and I keep all the kindergarten and first grade level right there. When kindergarten and first start checking out at the big shelves, it's right there, so I can monitor them while I'm checking kids out. So it's-
I have a piece of furniture that rolls that has a selection of the low rules.
God bless them. First grade needs all the help they can get when they come in. When I left, I had about 20 first graders in there, and I was like,
Well, my first graders don't have too big. It's the second graders that
you get a lot more.
the second
Variety
graders
in
want to
second
be
grade.
well, they want to be very
Oh, yeah.
independent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they're choosing things that
Yeah.
they totally can't read.
Because it's the first year they kind of.
See, in my rule, I do 3 books
Yeah.
because I have a big enough library.
Well, my second
rule
graders get
is
2.
2 books need to be something that you can read
Mm-hmm.
comfortably. The third book, I won't ask any questions. You
No
get
questions
whatever
asked.
you want. And they get some crazy stuff that I know they can't read, but I don't say anything because 2 of their books, they know that's my rule.
Right. Well, the second grade teachers watch after their kids, and it's whatever the second grade teachers tell them. For some of them, it's one of them better be something that you read, and the other that you can read, and the other one could be something else. Sometimes it's one picture book and one
Oh, yeah.
nonfiction book. I mean, I don't have to monitor that. Thank goodness. First grade, one
And
page,
my kids, all my kids, 5th grade, not so much, but all my kids, every day, all day.
The other one could be whatever you want to read.
I just have a big enough,
Yeah,
well, my first
exactly.
graders get only 2 books. Everybody, 2nd through 5th, everybody gets 3 books. But I have a big enough collection for them.
Our 3rd through 5th get 3.
Yeah.
Or can get 3.
Unless they're,
Some of the fifth
habitually
graders don't
late,
want
or
to.
then they lose
Yeah.
that privilege.
Some of the 5th graders don't want to they'll just look at me and go, well, some of them, do I have to get a book at all? I'm reading other stuff at home. Okay. My mother doesn't want me. I have one. My mother doesn't want me to get library books because we have so many books at home.
I've heard that too.
I'm thinking, can I meet your mother? Because I'd really like to know if she said that. I mean, really, I really would.
Yeah, I have some that I know probably.
It's a lot of work, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I think they just don't. Well, Jennifer used to charge, didn't she? Did she charge overdue fines?
She did, but I'm not. It's
Because
just
that's probably where some of them didn't want them checking out books
Oh.
anymore because they had overdue fines so many
Yeah.
times that they don't want, you know.
Mm.
With this particular child that's doing this in my grade, I don't know him. He wasn't at school at our school
Right.
last year, so I don't know where it came from. Maybe he lost books somewhere along the way. So mom was like, just don't check
We
out.
just got a subscription to a new ebook site and the kids love it. So now they don't have it. It's called Big Universe. They love it. We just
How much
started
is it?
It's $3,000, I believe,
Oh, okay.
for the entire school year.
Yeah.
Unlimited number of, however many kids are at your school.
Do y'all have money?
24/7 access.
3,000 a year.
Yeah, well, everybody has Raz kids.
And that may vary depending on how many.
Very expensive.
Yeah. How many kids do you have at your school?
Total of 460.
Yeah, we have about.
So we have tumble books.
Love it.
Oh yeah, I love
Over
tumble books.
10,000 books. And a lot of them are AR. So if you're in an AR school, they can read on Big Universe and then take a quiz. There are quizzes within Big Universe. Not every single one of them have it, but
Can they search by Lexile
they
too?
can. I think Lexile's one of the choices too. There's like 4.
Did y'all have a grant or something to help y'all
No,
pay
it
for
was
that, or-
something that my principal asked me to look at last year. Since we're going to testing online, she just felt like the kids need to get used, their brains need to get used to reading online, and we just really didn't have a lot of ebooks. And so she said to look into it, and I asked around, and when I put it out there on the listserv, you're gonna get those phone calls from people. And actually, the woman that called me from Big Universe was so sweet. I gave her a chance and talked to her, and I'm so glad I did because she was just the sweetest thing, y'all. I mean, she called me to check to see how the order was going the day that I found out my grandmother had gone to the emergency room, and I had just got off the phone with my sister, and so I thought it was my sister calling back, and when I picked up the phone, I just started bawling, and she was the sweetest thing, and she's just like, I understand. I just lost my mom a year ago, and she talked to me for a few minutes. It was really sweet. And then the very next time I talked to her, she said, "I've been thinking about you. Just wanted to know how you were doing." Before she got into any business stuff, she asked about how it was. Just so sweet. Her name's Terry Marsh. I wanted to contact her, and I'll send out.
So was that a Title I purchase?
We did end up using Title I money for it, but I don't know that you necessarily have to. You may have other discretionary funds that you could use for it, but our kids have only been using it for 3 weeks because I just didn't have time to get it all set up, and we've already read like over 3,000 books. I mean, the kids love it.
Does it take a lot to set it up? Or?
There is a way that you can download the files through Infinite Campus and then just upload them, but I just couldn't figure out how to do that. There's supposed to be a way to do that in AR too, but I never could figure out how to do it, so I just ended up doing it. Just inputting it, and our computer lab TA, she helped me with some of it. So once I had some help, it didn't take any time at all to get it set up. And we just used the same username and password that we used for Renaissance Place, just to keep it simple.
Which is
Yeah. Well, luckily it had changed before I got it all set up, so I didn't have to go back and redo it. But there's also a writing component to it. So there's like there's 4 tabs at the top, and the very last tab is the writing component, and the kids can write their own books, like ebooks, and submit it to their teacher, and their teacher can share it with the class if they choose to. And they love that. They get so excited, which is great for them to practice for the writing part of the test too, for third grade, and that maybe second graders. So that's what I've been going over with second and third the last couple of weeks. And they walk out and they don't want to put their Chromebooks down because they want to keep reading. And there's chapter books on there too. And it's not just like these generic books. It's books that they really want to read. And it's books from like Abdo. I've seen some, some publishers that you know.
Do you get a subscription, obviously?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's 1 year and it's 24/7 access because it's through a website. So anywhere where they can connect through to the internet. It can be on a Chromebook, it can be on a smartphone, it can be on a tablet. As long as they have internet access, they can get on.
Do you know, can they download it at school from the school's internet and then be able to read it on their Chromebook at
That was
home?
one thing I asked about before we purchased it, and they told me yes, but then I couldn't figure out how to do it. And so I got a hold of somebody, and they said you can do it, but only through the iPad app.
So if you have a-
So when they told me yes, they weren't lying, but they didn't,
Right. Yeah.
completely, they weren't
And
completely.
that's
They didn't
just
say,
it.
they didn't say
That's just
yes
at home.
for iPads.
Yes, no, they weren't very specific about
Because
how
a lot
to
of our
download
kids
it, and that was my
don't.
fault for, I guess, for not
Yeah,
asking
there's a
for
lot
it.
of kids out, there's a lot of kids.
Like, yeah,
out
like
there
kids
that
don't have internet at
Yeah.
home. So.
Yeah, but it's great. Like I said, the kids are using it obviously at school because we've only been using it for a couple weeks and already over 3,000 books have been read. So, and there are also interactive ebooks in there that read it to them. Those aren't AR books. Most of those aren't, but it will it's like watching a video of the book, and it highlights the word as it's reading it. So it's really good for struggling readers or lower readers.
Do they have upper level books that are like that too for like, older kids that are just struggling readers? Or is it just mainly picture books?
I did not see any chapter books. I think they're all picture books.
Yeah.
But they could still be on a higher reading
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
I was very impressed with it. So. Are we ready to move on to the next one?
Sure.
The last thing on the agenda is update on Junior Library Guild.
Well,
board
that's me. I
initiatives.
sort of have an update.
Okay.
Jessica and I have been talking. Just try to phrase my wording very carefully.
Do we need to close the door?
I talked, does everybody work with Jody Lewis?
Goodness.
That's why I was hoping that someone from the county would be here.
If it's on the
I talked to Jody Lewis a couple times on the